I really didn't expect to be making this video so soon, but Bethesda have actually issued a response and cleared up a little bit of some of yesterday's confusion with their announcement of the Fallout 76 beta release date. After amending their Bethesda.net post to include clarification that everyone who has received a beta code would be part of it, Pete Hines also took to Twitter and decided to explain a little bit further just to put fans at rest. Although receiving a barrage of tweets, Pete reiterated his point of everyone being involved in the beta multiple times. He then went on to speak about the fear of Bethesda not being able to have enough time to fix problems, stating this: "We have lots we already know we need to fix and break in new ways and fix again, and there would be smaller test ones before the full beta that is everyone." So I assume at the end there he does mean that is for everyone. Although it's not a concrete answer about the length of time Bethesda have allowed themselves, the truth is that we really don't know how long they've been at a stage where they can actually play or at least test every aspect of the game. Despite the obvious bias, Pete seems to be certain that the folks at Bethesda know exactly what they are doing. Not everyone seems certain of that though, with Spartan tweeting this: "So it's a demo. I mean, maybe you used feedback to fix minor bugs, but at this point it's basically a demo." To which Pete replied, "No. I think I disagree with almost everything you said. It's not just a demo, not just for fixing major bugs, though I hope it launches without any game-breaking bugs. On that, we agree." After another back and forth, Spartan replied with, "Interesting. I'm not sure how much you can tell us, but do you mean the servers? Game balance?" Of course referring to Pete saying that fixing bugs was important, but not the only thing that this beta is for. Pete then confirmed and said, "All of the above, same as for any game like this I've been around. What there is too much of, what there is not enough of, what numbers seem out of whack as we get to a certain scale of players, etc. People dying too much or not enough is not a bug, however it is a problem." This was probably the most in-depth tweet regarding the beta since his attempt at damage control began. This really does seem to consolidate the fact that Bethesda are on the right path and know what they're doing, and that they just need the final bit of testing and tweaking before launch. This is of course great news. The last thing Bethesda game studios would want is for their first crack at an online game to fail. This definitely does go back to my point yesterday though, of fans needing to step back and actually let Bethesda go forward with their plans and allow them some breathing room throughout the final stretch, no matter how crazy some of their ideology does seem. To go over my earlier point of Pete reiterating the misunderstanding caused by the post, here's his response to a few users in this thread. "It was just a misunderstanding. Essentially with pretty much any beta we, Bethesda, not BGS, do, you start with a smaller set of testers, make sure stuff is good, take it wider, check and repeat. Sometimes you test it once, sometimes numerous times, till you get to full public beta. That's all." Matthew then shared his thoughts on this and asked, "Why would you make an official statement about the beta when you were actually talking about the pre-beta then? Seems like a lot of backpedaling, to be honest. I understand it, just don't agree with making an official statement that's so misunderstood, to be honest." Pete basically then goes on to say that they were talking about both and that there will be a full beta that you have access to, and in addition to this, you might get involved to help us before the beta. This, however, doesn't seem to be enough for Matthew, who decided to moan a little bit more about it being publicly announced, and then chose to finish it off with a slight humble brag about his previous closed beta testing experiences. I mean, first of all, Bethesda didn't purposely word the post to trip people up. I'm sure it was checked and double checked, but unintentionally it did cause some confusion. Then Matthew said he understands the closed testing, but not why it was publicly announced. Yet he's been involved in closed testing, which I'm sure was probably announced by the developers or the publishers on whatever game this was supposedly for. Fans regularly complain about hearing a lack of information from companies, but apparently Matthew here would prefer Bethesda just shut up and get on with it. You can see why this one of hundreds, if not even thousands of tweets, probably makes working in the games industry on any public level an absolute nightmare. Anyway, I'm getting triggered by this now, so back to the rest of the tweets. Miles, with a decent question, asked, "If I create my character during the beta, will all of my stats and whatnot carry over to the game's release?" Something I was personally really worried about. I didn't want to put loads of time in the beta, getting content, filming it, enjoying everything that was in it, to then have to restart. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but of course it would be better to carry on that and have a bit of progression from the beta. But how they'll incorporate that into the actual start of the game is yet to be seen. However, with most of our questions, we will probably see this at QuakeCon. Pete understandably, however, didn't go into any more detail about this and said they'll let us know when Bethesda have more information on stuff like that. Now on something a lot of non-Xbox players were probably wondering, how much extra time will Xbox players get in the beta compared to PC and PS4? And is the starting date for the beta when Xbox gets access? Pete then offered his 2 cents on this. My guess would be that it runs for the same number of days on each platform. So if it runs for X days on Xbox, it will run for X days on PC/PS4. This doesn't seem too surprising, especially with how most betas are run these days. I wouldn't even be surprised if there's an extension at the end of the beta when it's approaching the end of its time. And now finally we have a question regarding how players will know if they are selected for the pre-beta, as referred to by our good friend Matthew, to which Pete replied that those selected are likely to get notified through the platform itself, as that's how Bethesda have done things like this in the past, and again, when that time comes, we'll tell folks what to look out for. So of course, another very expected response there from Pete. Who knows how we'll be notified about this, but I'm sure it'll all make sense. They'll point it out to us and walk us through it. I mean, they did that with the various codes we got from the various retailers that people have pre-ordered it from. There doesn't seem to be too many issues with redeeming the codes on the website. At least I myself have not seen any, and I was totally fine doing mine. Overall, no matter how this was handled though, the fact that Bethesda managed to deal with a lot of the issues fans had, especially in such a short period of time. I mean, it was 24 hours, it's pretty impressive, and it deserves some praise at least. There's undoubtedly still some unanswered questions, but with August 11th so close now, all we can do is wait. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. I really do hope you enjoyed. If you did, maybe drop a like, and if you're feeling super generous, feel free to subscribe. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and peace.